Welcome to From Center Ice. My name is Courtney, and don't look now, but the Toronto Maple Leafs have a chance to close out this series Thursday night in Toronto. That's right, the Toronto Maple Leafs and the Montreal Canadiens played Game 4 of their series tonight, and the Maple Leafs won. And they didn't just win, they won 4-0. Jack Campbell got his first playoff shutout. He looked great. He came up with some very timely saves. I wouldn't say that he had to make any huge or majorly impressive saves, but he made saves in key moments to keep the momentum going in the Leafs' favor. There aren't many things that are more deflating in a game when your team scores a huge goal, they're super happy, celebrating on the ice, all the momentum goes their way, and then your goaltender allows a goal right away. You go from this extremely high and you drop all the way down to an extremely low. And then you just kind of have to hope to build it back up to the middle and then maybe get back up to that high again. But that did not happen tonight. Once the Leafs started scoring, they kept scoring, and Jack Campbell was on top of his game and earned that first shutout. Oh, it was beautiful. There were some lineup changes in this game for the Maple Leafs. Riley Nash and Rasmus Sandin came out of the lineup. Adam Brooks and Travis Dermott went into the lineup. Nick Foligno was out for his second straight game, so Alex Galchenyuk was back in like he was last night. And both of these teams ran with the same goaltenders in the second half of a back-to-back. Toronto with Jack Campbell, like I was just talking about obviously, and Montreal with Carey Price. So how about we go over my 3 questions I have for this game so we can talk about this one. Question number 1. Will the Leafs come out in the first period with intensity? So last night's game, the first half of the back-to-back, it ended in chaos. Those final 2 minutes when Carey Price was out of the Montreal net, it was just madness in the Leafs zone. And I don't necessarily want to say they were lucky, but they were fortunate that there were no bad bounces going their way and Montreal stayed off of the score sheet in those final minutes. But with how bad that game began and how chaotic it ended, we shifted to tonight's game, and were these teams going to come out with intensity? Toronto taking the win last night, having the opportunity to come in and take the stranglehold on the series tonight. Would they come out with that fire and look like they want to take control of this game early? And I don't know what is wrong with either team because they cannot start these games on time. Usually it's just one team. They come out, they look like they have heavy legs, it's all sloppy passing and sloppy shooting and nothing really goes their way, and their opponent has a decent to great period. Not in this series. These two teams can't connect a pass, they can hardly get shots off on goal in the first. Players are falling all over the ice. I can't imagine that they just come out onto a different sheet of ice in the second and third periods, so it's not like it's just horrible ice in the first and then it's fine for the rest of the game. Maybe you could say something like that if it was only one game, but it was both of these games that we saw last night and today. So I don't know what's going on, but no, Toronto did not come out with that intensity. That first period was beyond frustrating. They were getting chances. Mitch Marner was shooting the puck. 2 minutes into the game, Jason Spezza had a breakaway, but Carey Price made the stop. The shots on goal in the first period were 9-6 in favor of the Maple Leafs, but Montreal blocked a bunch of shots. I don't know if they just decided to turn into elite shot blockers in the first period or if Toronto was just taking bad shots, but it looked like nothing was ever going to get through to Carey Price. Alexander Kerfoot and Mitch Marner had a 2-on-1 chance on the penalty kill. Kerfoot tried to send the slick pass over to Marner, who would have had an absolute tap-in, but here comes Nick Suzuki's skate and just kicks the puck away. You couldn't have asked for better timing on that. So kudos to Suzuki there, I guess. If you didn't see that, you have to go back and watch the replay. It's just one of those plays where you have to throw your hands up in the air because the luck did not go your way that time. But overall, that first period is one that you just want to throw in the garbage because both teams looked bad. Toronto especially was playing very sloppy hockey. Pucks were bouncing on them, they were falling over, like I said. It was hard to watch, it was frustrating to watch. Thankfully, it got better as the game went on. Question number 2, will the Leafs get to the front of the net? Still not nearly enough. It seemed like Montreal had more chances right in front of Jack Campbell than the Leafs had in front of Carey Price. There were some sequences where there were Leafs players in front of the net, but most of their chances seemed to come off of the rush. And that is Toronto's game, so it's not surprising, but as the series goes on, I guess there's potentially one more game if they win on Thursday. But I guess I'll say, as the playoffs go on, no matter what that looks like for the Leafs, it would be good to see them getting more chances in front of the goaltender. And I know know that Montreal's defenders have been making that difficult on the Leafs. Whether it's Ben Chiarot or Shea Weber there, they have those sticks flying with those cross checks. But sometimes you gotta pay the price and go to the front of the net. Question number 3. Will we see William Nylander on the first power play unit? Mitch Marner was back in his spot. That was to be expected, but he was taking more shots in this game. He still just didn't look great. There's something missing from his game. I don't know if he's injured or if he just hasn't gotten the chance to really get into the series yet. He picked up points in the previous games, and tonight he looked more visible out there, and yet he walked away from this one with no points. Because hockey! It doesn't make sense. That good old game of bounces, anything can happen. So let's talk about some goals. There were 4 of them. The first period may have sucked for the Maple Leafs, but they really looked like they settled in the second period and got their game going, and they got it going early. 1 minute and 27 seconds into the second period, you guessed it, William Nylander, the Maple Leafs MVP. Alexander Kerfoot, the brand new second line center with John Tavares and Nick Foligno out, made a pass to Galchenyuk. Galchenyuk with a beautiful, sweet pass to William Nylander, and he was able to just tap that puck past Carey Price, and it was 1-0 Maple Leafs. And Galchenyuk stayed on side this time. Remember last game when he was just, you know, miles offside in the first 2 minutes of the game? This time he got it right. So congratulations, Mr. Galchenyuk. And he had a good game. But we'll talk about him some more in a minute. William freaking Nylander, he has goals in every playoff game so far. That's 4 straight games. And he's making a difference out there most of his shifts. I don't know, y'all. 88's looking real good out there. I said he was the best Maple Leafs player in this series after game number 2, and that's starting to look better after every single game. Remember how I talked about those timely stops that Jack Campbell was making? Shortly after Nylander scored that goal, Eric Stahl had a chance basically one-on-one with Jack Campbell. The Leafs defenders were there and they were on him enough so where he couldn't get a super awesome chance, but it was still Eric Stahl, Jack Campbell. And after that messy first period and the Leafs coming out in the second and scoring basically right away, 1 minute and 27 seconds in, if Montreal had tied that up right away, that would have been deflating. Super excited, got the lead, and back to square one. But you know that's not what happened. Jack Campbell made the stop and the game remained 1-0 Toronto. 12 minutes and 28 seconds into the second period, Jason Spezza picked up his second goal of the playoffs, and that came off of another beautiful pass from Alex Galchenyuk. My goodness, this kid came out to play today. He looked fine in game 3. Tonight, he looked very good. And he walked away from this game with 3 points, but we are only on point number 2. That was a fantastic pass right to Jason Spezza's stick. He just had to get that stick out and ready and deflected that puck right past Carey Price. 2-0 Toronto. Remember the whole getting to the front of the net thing and the cross-checking and Ben Chiarot and Shea Weber? Well, Ben Chiarot happened to follow up Jason Spezza's goal with a cross-check to Austin Matthews, and to the box he went. Oh no, a Maple Leafs power play. Don't lie, you were thinking it too. But this time we got the old man special. Jason Spezza with the puck, got it to Joe Thornton, and into the net the puck went. After having a terrible first 3 games of the series, Jumbo Joe Thornton is on the score sheet on the power play even, and add in Alexander Kerfoot there on the secondary assist. Good for Joe. I thought he should have been sat tonight in the second half of the back-to-back, especially seeing how bad he's been. But hey, I'll take a Leafs power play goal wherever I can get him, and I like Joe Thornton. Saying he's been bad is nothing against the guy, it's just facts. But he got his goal in this game. Let's hope that lights a fire under him going forward so he looks better. But can we take a moment to talk about Alexander Kerfoot? I mentioned he was the fill-in second line center, and in last night's game and in tonight's game, he's looked pretty good out there. Of course, he's no replacement for John Tavares. Nobody on this roster is going to be, but he fit into that role and he's doing what he needs to do out there. He's responsible with the puck, he's setting up plays, and he's another guy out there along with Nylander who looks effective whenever they're on the ice. So seeing as they're on the ice together, that's a good line. I don't think Sheldon Keefe or the coaching staff will have a negative thing to say about that second line after this game or last night's game. Speaking of penalties though, shortly after Jumbo's goal, Adam Brooks and Brett Kulak got into a little kerfuffle behind the net. They were both swinging their hands around trying to hit each other, you know, like angry hockey players do. Both parties were guilty, but Adam Brooks was the only one sent to the box. What the heck was that? We know the NHL officiating has been bad. All you have to do is look at that overtime between Edmonton and Winnipeg last night. You know, the 3 overtime periods where nothing was called except the puck over the glass penalty. Like, I get it. It was late. I'm sure they wanted to go home, but those guys were just hanging on each other. Somebody could have got seriously injured there. But that was last night. Edmonton got swept. You just hate to see that. Not really. Screw Mike Smith. But we're talking about tonight, and what the heck was that call with Adam Brooks being the only one going to the box there? It looked like Kulak may have even initiated all of that. If anything, it should have been coincidental minors, or they just should have let it go. But this is the NHL officiating we're talking about here, so we just must remain confused for eternity. So the second period came to a close with the game being 3-0 Toronto. Doesn't that sound beautiful? You could tell that both teams got a little more mojo there in the second. The shots on goal were 15-12 in favor of the Maple Leafs. So third period, what are we going to see? Montreal is down 3-0. They're in danger of going down 3-1 in the series. Carey Price has been playing absolutely fantastic hockey. He is just getting 0 run support. Jack Campbell, on the other hand, is also playing fantastic hockey, but his team is scoring for him. You look at the lineups and you say, yeah, of course Toronto is scoring more than Montreal. Look at the names on this roster. But you and I both know that that is not always how hockey games go at all. Case in point, Connor McDavid having 1 goal through 4 games in the playoffs. Not necessarily the same thing. Winnipeg is a better team than the Montreal Canadiens, but you get what I'm trying to say here. So the Habs came out and they were getting shots on goal, but nothing too exciting was really happening in the third. There was only 1 penalty. And as the clock was winding down halfway through the period, more than halfway through the period, you could just tell that Toronto was going to walk away with this game. Montreal was not going to come back and tie it up. They didn't have any fire in them. There was no real life to their game. They were frustrated, they were pushing and shoving the Leafs, throwing some fists when they could, but there weren't any great plays, and when they did have scoring chances, Jack Campbell was there to stop them. The shots on goal in the third period were 14-4 in favor of Montreal this time, and the final total for the whole game was 32-28 in favor of the Canadiens. So there was an effort, but the Toronto team just played very well. Their defense was activated tonight. They looked good. Justin Holl and Jake Muzzin, they had great games for the Leafs. That was even apparent in that terrible first period that we just forget about. That was one of my notes after that period, was that those two looked good. And that is great news for the Maple Leafs going forward. If their defensive core can stay solid, and if their forwards can keep scoring, if Mitch Marner can start getting on the score sheet in the goal column, they have some good games ahead of them. I'm not gonna say anything crazy here. I don't have any predictions. I have no idea what's going to happen. I'm not gonna even put anything into the universe, but if they keep playing well, they're going to have some very good games. And that makes it fun for us to watch, at least. Hey Courtney, you only talked about 3 goals. Ah, yes, the Canadiens came through with an early goaltender pull. Once again, I mean, you can't blame them. They were down 3-0. And when you're at risk of going down 3-1 in the series, you just kind of have to take your chances and hope for the best. But the best did not go in favor of the Montreal Canadiens, because 16 minutes and 29 seconds into the third period, here comes Mr. Alex Galchenyuk himself, putting that puck into the empty net, sealing the game for the Maple Leafs more than it was already sealed. He had 2 assists earlier in the game off of beautiful passes both times, and he earned himself a goal. Doesn't matter if it was an empty netter or not, a goal is a goal. And the Toronto Maple Leafs won 4-0. That is 4 goals in game number 4. They lead the series 3-1, and they can close it out on Thursday night in Toronto at the Scotiabank Arena. So here are my questions for that game. Question 1, will they clean up their first period? It's worked out for them 2 games in a row, but it's not working out very well for my sanity, so I would very much appreciate it if the Maple Leafs could come out and play well from the first puck drop. I don't like going through this whole frustration thing before the game finally starts to be fun to watch. I don't have to earn entertainment, you're just supposed to give it to me. Don't make me suffer. Jokes aside, this Montreal team has been feisty, they've been hitting, they've been trying to rough up the Leafs. They are at risk of being eliminated. You have to assume they are going to come out and play well in the first period, try to get that lead, try to get the Leafs off of their game. So, will Toronto also come out in the first period and play cleaner, not be as sloppy with the puck, connect their passes, stop falling all over the place? Maybe the ice is better in Toronto, I don't know. But for the love of God, can we have a better first period? I feel like they've all sucked in this series so far for one reason or another. Question 2, can the Leafs stay out of the box? While Montreal had a bad game and looked lifeless for a lot of stretches of it, they were pretty good on their power plays. They were getting sustained zone time, they were getting some shots off. If a bounce or two had gone their way, if Jack Campbell had misplayed a puck, they could have easily gotten on the score sheet. The Leafs took 4 penalties in this one compared to the 2 that they drew, and they scored on the power play, which was nice. And the Canadiens should have had another penalty in that Kulak and Brooks ordeal, but that's not how it went. And yes, Montreal has not scored on the power play so far in this series, and yes, the Toronto defense has looked good, and yes, Jack Campbell has looked amazing, but if you don't stay out of the box, you're really just playing with fire, and that is not something that the Leafs need to do with their recent playoff history. They need to just get through it, be as clean as they can, play their game, and hope to just come out and score some goals early. Maybe get Montreal frustrated, get them off of their game, and then just try to close the thing out. Which leads me to question 3. Can the Toronto Maple Leafs close out this series on Thursday night? That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? Will the Leafs finally get out of the first round in the playoffs? That would be a great morale boost for this team who has played well all season and has played well in these playoffs so far. Yeah, maybe it's Montreal and not the Boston Bruins, so maybe you're not exactly slaying the dragon, but you're slaying some demons at least. So, can they? Will they? What do you think is gonna happen? Let me know in the comments down below. There you have it. Those are my 3 questions for Thursday night. Leafs fans, savor the good feelings from this game. Appreciate your goaltender. Appreciate the team that you have out there on the ice. It is okay to be happy, but don't get too happy because the universe has a way of just striking that down. But appreciate it because this is fun. That said, if you would like to hear more from me or from Center Ice, you can head on over to FromCenterIce.com. You can find links to all the places where you can find us. I just put up a new podcast episode today that's here on this YouTube channel, or it's wherever you get your podcasts if you want audio only. If you're more of a social media person, you can follow us on all of the platforms. Those are all linked down in the description for you. Thank you so much for tuning in. I greatly appreciate it. I'm glad to have you here. It's been fun watching this exciting Maple Leafs team. Enjoy it, get some rest, hydrate. That means water, but if you want some other beverages as well, that's okay too. The Leafs have the chance to do something super cool on Thursday, and even though you can't be there in the arena, they need to feel your love and support, and I know y'all have got a lot of it. So rest up and get ready to cheer these boys on Thursday night, and I will catch you all after that game. Bye guys. Thank you all for watching. Please hit that subscribe button to catch more From Center Ice content. If you could, hit the like button on this video, maybe share it with a friend or two, and while you're here, check out the podcast playlist and catch up on some old episodes. We will catch y'all next time. Bye!